And we are back, folks. Another edition of the Monday morning quarterback film study with that man they call DG. Devin Gardner, world famous.
Wow. See, you always got some garbage going.
What?
I am not world famous. Don't get people thinking that. I'm not
trying
world
to be
famous.
Effusive in my praise.
Nah, man.
Of my man DG.
I want you to be realistic. I am lab.
Hey.
Go ahead.
The disclaimer that we always offer, because they are out there. They are out there making sure people are not pirating their video for their own purposes. We don't pirate for our own purposes. We use the video footage that is in these film studies strictly for the entertainment, the edification, and the education of you, the viewer. But because we know
However,
you love these film studies, we can tell. Like, you watch them, you review them. DG seems to think they are way more popular than even I think. He thinks that maybe broadcasters look at it and teams look. He's like, hey, Sam, you don't know who's watching this.
I know for a fact.
So, because we know all of you love these film studies, we need you to help fund the film studies. Because you look, DJ, hey, man, he's climbing the ladder. Like, it's just a matter of time before the Kims of the world come. And it might not just be the Kim. It might be the Kim. It might be the Chloe. Well, what's the other one? Let's just throw them all out there. Mama too. You know.
Hey, listen. Only way I want Carrie Hilson. If y'all can get a hold of Carrie Hilson, boy, that's my celebrity crush.
Yeah,
Carrie Hilson. And all everybody.
Yeah, and you tall enough to pull that off too.
Yeah, she's tall.
Yeah, that's a mountain right there.
Call this woman a mountain.
Just saying.
Donate to the PayPal.
She about 6'1". Anyway.
No, she not.
And he,
Like,
yeah,
in
she,
heels,
she,
in heels, of
yeah,
course, of
yeah.
course.
She like 6'3".
Carrie
in heels.
Hilson.
Yeah, okay, so Carrie, can we get this out? Can y'all?
I don't think Carrie watching the breakdown.
But
There's a lot of people watching, but I don't
you know
think
how
Carrie.
our people do. They tag them. They tag the celebrities
I
on
want
Twitter.
y'all to get Carrie on board. We're writing for. Say no, we're not on sponsorship right now.
Yeah, so folks,
if you love me, Lord, get Carrie Hilson on board.
yeah, we don't get any sponsorship for the video. We need you to help fund the film study, keep DG in a life in which he's accustomed.
That is not true.
Hit that PayPal. Hit that PayPal link right down there. Easy peasy,
And
right?
if you don't have PayPal, Gardner Devin J on Venmo. I'm just telling you.
That works as well. That
I don't
works as
see
well.
why not. Sure.
So, with that, let's go ahead and get it started, DG. Yeah. This was a 52-10 drubbing.
It was, and it's not a lot not a lot of bad you can take out of it. The one thing that's super cool is we talked earlier, early in the season, maybe even last week, I don't know, about what are the things that, JJ can work on, what are things that could still scare him or hurt him just because he hasn't seen it enough. And I talked about the man coverage on one side, the combo coverage of man and zone in one play for the defense. And we saw a little bit of that in this game. And like you said, my favorite word is my favorite phrase being a repeat offender. And he is not a repeat offender, right? He figured it out and he further expanded his control of the offense, helping the offensive line get to the right protections to protect himself, and knowing where to go with the ball. So it was very important that he had these things because you wanted to continue to see him develop and get better. And that's why on Monday Morning Quarterback I talked about in 2021 when Michigan beat Ohio State. Throughout that entire year, from the beginning, Ohio State was as good as it was going to be. Right. And that's not good. I made it clear that is not good because you can only go down from there. Right. You've already reached the mountaintop. You're just such a great team. And for Michigan, it was just getting better every single week, just chugging along. And by the time you come to that Thanksgiving weekend, you are the team that can get it done. And they did in 21 and then 22. And this year, I think it's opposite, where I think Michigan is closer to being a finished product as a team, and Ohio State is continuing to work. And maybe at the end of the season, they might be at that point. Obviously, they're not there now. But for Michigan, differing from Ohio State in 21, I think that Michigan continues to improve, and it's because of the play of J.J. McCarthy and the control he continues to show.
So offensively, they got spotted 14 points. They got spotted 7 points out the gate, 14 points on the game.
Decent.
right? But they went and they finished the job, and we're focusing mostly on JJ. I know you could very easily break down a number of run plays, but we're sticking strictly.
I could, but I won't. I made it very clear last week. That's the only time. I'm not doing it anymore. This is Monday morning quarterback film study, okay?
All right.
Unless JJ's running the ball, we're not breaking it down.
All right. Which he did actually a couple times.
He did, and then we have that too as well.
All right, so we'll bring this up right now. Your first play.
All right, so pause it there. I want you to look for the viewers and let it play and then rewind it for them so they can see. Look at the top of your screen, the corner right here.
You want me to play right now?
Yeah, go ahead and let it play and then reverse it back. Look at him. If I'm a quarterback, now rewind it. Obviously, you see in hindsight he blitzed. But as a quarterback, he looks like he's about to go into that cover 4 or retreat coverage. He's in zone turn posture. So I only put this play on here because this is an outstanding job for Minnesota. And I'll show you how it should look when the quarterback can kind of recognize that a guy is blitzing. So we don't get the first down here. You got to punt the ball away, all of that. And I think this is to the credit of P.J. Fleck and his defense and their defensive staff. So look at the safety. He's standing there on the hash, right? This, in my view, does not suggest that there's going to be a corner blitz. So there's no need to alter the protection, right? You look like this looks like zone coverage. He's going to back out, whatever the case may be. And he doesn't show that he's coming. But you do see show from the linebackers in the inside coming, right? So I don't see a real need to change this protection. And so if you wanted to see how it will look, this is how it should look. Safety would be about 4 to 5 yards off the hash, maybe 2 or 3 if he wants to get real dangerous. Because the thing is, you have to make sure, and you can see the eyes of the corner would be on the receiver, right? Because you want to show that you're not coming, right? So you want to get up in his face, pretend there, and then you usually come off the edge. That's usually how it looks. And the reason for the safety being so far off the hash there is because if JJ was to get a beat on this and recognize that this corner's coming, he could have popped that ball out to I can't see who the receiver is, pop that out to him on a hot, and he's going to go for 35 yards at least. And then you got to make a tackle if you're the safety. You don't know what could happen there. It could go the distance. So I think this is an outstanding job by Minnesota, and they tricked us, right? They tricked us. They tricked the team. They tricked JJ, but JJ minimized the damage because that's what football is, right? And I think this is a plus for JJ because he's able to get outside. He doesn't make a bad play worse, right? He tries to get what he can get. He gets hit right there, and now you can either go for it or punt the ball away. But you keep your team in a good position by not trying to do too much when, you know, they kind of got you on that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he knows right away, I can't pick that dude up.
Yeah, so once he starts, he's like, oh, man, I didn't know he was blitzing. Yeah. And so he sees him, and he starts to get out. And that's what you need to do. Minimize the damage. I talked to the quarterbacks about this, and we actually do drills, right, as far as bad stats and maybe making the wrong read on the RPO or read option. Okay, you've made a mistake, and this is not technically a mistake, but they beat us, right? They got us on this play. Minimize the damage is the coaching point, and this is a great job of JJ doing that. Minimize the damage. Obviously, he's gifted enough that he can run and minimize the damage. Usually, for a guy that can't move as well as him, he climb up in the pocket, maybe take a sack or whatever, but do a good job of minimizing the damage, and he did a good job there.
All right, so DG, we'll move on to the next play. I believe this is was this just a show play?
It's the run, yeah. Yeah, it's just a run. We talked about, pulling the ball and putting him on the edge, whether it be duo or whatever. And this is an outstanding job because he had 2 outside, and so his read collapsed down, and he pulled the ball out, but now he has a couple extra guys to beat because where are we? Down tight, right? So it's going to be a lot more guys, and, this is just showing he has the ability to get on the edge, make a play, and not only that, before getting in the end zone, he lowers his shoulder and tries to run through a guy. And I remember on TV shows everywhere, we saw Caleb Williams do something very similar, and he was glorified for it. So I thought maybe we should glorify the Michigan quarterback for doing the same thing, making sure he lowers that shoulder and gets in the end zone. That's I love it. I love it. And when your team sees that, now we don't want to do it all the time, right? We don't want to put ourselves in danger all the time. But when it's an opportunity to prove how tough you are, all right, boom, give it to him. I don't see why not, right? And I really enjoy seeing that play and making sure he gets in the end zone there.
Yeah, man.
It's good. The corner's going low, though. Corner like, I ain't let you run into
15
me.
15 different run schemes in the game. He pulls an open zone here. I don't know that he's done that. I don't know if he's pulled on that one this season. So giving him a lot to look at, DG. Giving him a lot to look at. Yeah. I'm curious, man. we'll get into this coming up because you kind of touched on it a little bit in the last clip, talking about JJ and, not recognizing the corner blitz. They disguised it real well.
They did a very good job, yeah.
But when it comes to protections, one of the things that they said that in talking to the coaches in the preseason about what would be different, they said, man, he's going to change plays. He's going to change protections. Was that something that you did in college?
It wasn't as a junior, but as a senior, yes. Right. So as a junior, I didn't deal with protections at all, except for sometimes in those empty protections, I would be able to move the offensive line, full offensive line slide one way or the other way. But other than that, and I don't even remember in a game yelling out easy to do that. But as a senior, right, when Coach Nussmeier came, I learned so much more about mic points and how the structure of protections are, right? Because as a junior, this is my first year fully starting, it's a lot, right? Not to mention our center was a veteran center and he's able to do all that stuff or whatever. And it makes it so much easier and so much better for you when your quarterback can do it. Because you got to look at the position of center and the guard or whatever in. They're down. Heads are, not quite down, but they're in a down position. They can't see what's happening on the back end. They can't see the eyes of the defenders. Is that guy coming? Do I need to count him into my protection? And so the quarterback can. And if you can learn to do that, you'll be much better for yourself in college where you can not have to throw hot. You can help yourself, right? Make sure you protect yourself to give yourself time. You'll know exactly how much time you might have if you are hot, things like that. And then when you move to the next level, those offensive linemen are not looking, they're looking for help from you. Right? This is the NFL. We don't have time for you to not help in the protection. This isn't college. This isn't look to the sideline and give you what to do. You got to be the general on the field. And so I think he's putting himself in a good position and with the help of Coach Campbell and Coach Moore, all those guys, making sure you put this on his plate because it's about winning for Michigan. But let's not forget, it's about going to the next level as well, right? Guys aren't coming to play college football just to play college football, right? You're going to try to be prepared for the next level, and I think he's being prepared for the next level really well, and he's taking a real good grasp of it, and he displayed it in this game.
So keep that in mind, changing protections, because that's a talking point. That was a talking point for me after the game, saying he recognizes pressures, he recognizes coverages. So we're going to do recognizing coverage right now. We're going to come back to recognizing pressures and changing protection. But
on this play too, we're going to see it on the game copy. He does it on this play too, right? So he changed the protection. We're going to go more in depth on the next one because, it resulted in a touchdown. He climbed up in the pocket and all those different things. But this one, he had communication with the offensive line to make sure he got himself protected on this play as well, right? You can see it there, right? He's giving the offensive line, and you see the center point after he points. Hey, he's coming out there. Running back goes outside and Henderson, and then you get this guy wide open down the field. Now, it gets so much deeper, guys. It gets so much deeper. So, Sam kind of alluded to the fact that people watch our show, coaches and commentators alike. What is the one thing that we talked about for JJ that could hurt him? Because you haven't seen it a lot. Man on one side, zone on the other side. Through interception against Bowling Green, right? It's something that, for me, any quarterback, because usually if it's man, it's man. And usually if it's zone, it's zone, right? But combining is kind of the new flavor of college football. Combining man on one side and then zone on the other side. I've seen it on a lot of different people's films. It's a risk because of what you're going to see here. But it can confuse the quarterback and make him think that he has throws that he actually doesn't. And once again, not a repeat offender, right? So first you help yourself in protection. Now, look over here to your left. Let it play out. We got man and man right there. You can't see outside. That's man outside. And then you got man right there. Okay, perfect. Right now, you got zone on this side, though. Right? You got tight split from Roman Wilson. You got zone on this side. When this guy comes, right, he vacates an entire area. Right? You're going to get Roman Wilson. It's Roman Wilson, yes. Roman Wilson running across the field to get into the area. This has been a theme all season. The depth of the defense. The man-to-man side, the receivers are going on deep routes, deep posts, or whatever the case may be. They are running those guys out. So the depth is way too far down the field to have actual depth, right? So when those guys vacate and you get this blitzer who could be the alley player getting to that depth of the defense, there is no more depth, right? And knowing that, another great play and a well-designed play by Coach Moore, but a great job of recognition by JJ. First, protecting himself, making sure everybody's alerted and knows that, hey, we got a guy on the edge that we need to account for, and then knowing we got a guy run across the field, nobody's going to chase him because they're playing zone on that side of the field. It's a really good job. Right? You see the man guys chasing, and then he running through that zone side, wide open, nice throw, something easy to catch with. You can see his guy sends him inside. He screams in and in. Those linebackers will be responsible for it. They are not going to be able to run with Roman Wilson, especially across the field. Even in man-to-man, that would have been hard to stop. But in zone on one side, it's impossible.
Yeah, man. And, he hit this same play. I believe it was against man-to-man across the board.
Yep.
It's
still hard. Like, it's so hard to cover a guy running across, especially with the speed of Roman Wilson. It's so hard to cover a guy running across the field. But when you completely vacate an area and have no depth of the defense, it's good night, Irene.
Yeah, man. And I remember us looking at similar sort of running wide open like Roman was, Tyreek Hill. Mm-hmm. The same concept, down the field, wide open, confused, totally.
We found out later that Tyreek Hill ran the wrong route on that play, too.
Really?
Oh, yeah, you didn't see that? It's a soundbite. He comes and oh, man, my bad, man, I ran the wrong route. And so they like, I don't care as long as you score. It's all good. Yeah, he ran the wrong route. He ran the wrong route, so it wasn't in design. But this here is in the design. Of course. And it looks just like the play, except Tyreek ran. He's so good. Even when he run the wrong route, he scored.
That's crazy because it looks just like that.
Yep, that's it. And now maybe football is a copycat sport, right? So maybe you saw that like, okay, he didn't mean to do that, but that was very, very good. Let's use that. I don't see why not.
Right.
I'm sure it's in Miami's playbook right now.
Right. All right. So, DG, and this is where. I mean, all your stuff is Emmy Award winning. Like I said,
you're moving up everything, but
you're moving up in the world, like world famous. What other superlatives can I throw at my man DG?
This guy is crazy.
I'm just saying. So this one, though, this is some of your best work, DG.
Yeah, this I love this. This is some of their best work. I don't want to take the credit for it. This is some of Michigan's best work. And like we always say, man, I don't know if this was 100% right. But this is what it looks like to me as a guy that's played a lot of football, learned a lot of football from a lot of different minds, right? You go Rod, you go Borges, and then you go Doug Nussmeier, right? I've learned so much football in different styles and ways to play West Coast, spread, all that. And this was super impressive. Obviously, getting in the fight. Everybody knows I love a quarterback that'll get in the fight no matter what's going on, climb up in the pocket when you absolutely can. And JJ does a great job here, but we know he can throw. We know he can climb in the pocket. We know he can make the throw down the sideline. We know he can take a personal foul, roughing the passer, and still make the play.
And then highlight Khalil Mullings right there too.
Excuse me, Chief. If you let this thing play out, we'll allow me to do my job.
No, see, my point is I want to emphasize it double. I want to emphasize it here and in your telestration. Because, man.
He does a great job. But we can't even see it from that angle. Stop playing that. Let it roll. We can't see him even do his thing. He squared this guy up and hit him right in the mouth, and we can't see it because you put it in that angle. All right. Look, you got the hugs and the kisses and all that, right?
Okay, let's get on to the play.
And it's going to be a personal foul. The referee's going to go through all those different things, right? So let me start to set the scene here, right? So when you're offensive line and quarterback, you usually work together, and, the quarterback usually leads. Who is the mic, right? And so right here, I want to say this. I think that before the play, right, he's the mic, right? And so if he's the mic, let it go. If he comes and this next guy comes, right, we're good. But if this next guy comes outside, which he will, now we're hot. Right, and we don't really want to throw hot. We want to drop back. We want to get to, because we might have time. If we have to throw hot, we might not have time. We definitely won't have time to get to this touchdown that he throws, right? And for the running back, I remember Coach Jay talking about all the time. These are your rules. You go Mike first. You're first responsible for the mic, right? And so Mullins got Mike. Then you go Sam, right, which is a strong side, and then you go weak, right? So by the time he gets to weak, he'll be getting to the guy that blitzes. And for me, I think that the change was we're going to make this the mic. All right, we're going to make the mic over here, right? So you move the mic point over one more spot. We know that he's going to blitz, right? We don't know for sure. They don't know for sure. We know now because we saw the play. But if you make him the mic, now you make the outside guy a part of the line of scrimmage, right? And so when the mic comes, Mullings, that's his first responsibility. I'm mic first, right? So now when he sees the mic come, boom, he can stonewall him right in the middle of the offensive line. But moving the mic point allows for the offensive lineman to also move, right? So now this guy that we have seen and know is coming, he is now a part of the protection offense down lineman, right? He's a part of the 4 down linemen. And when he's a part of the 4 down linemen, now who do you think's gonna block him now? You got a big old tackle out there. Go ahead and kick step big Mr. Henderson. Meet him and big 77. You're gonna go over there, and now everything is blocked up, and you can climb in the pocket safely and securely. You look downfield and make a throw, and it all starts with protecting yourself before the play starts. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. Everybody's in communication. You can see now the new mic point is over here. Boom! You hit the mic, climb up, touchdown. Those are the types of things that go unnoticed, right? Because even on the broadcast, you don't have enough time to go through all of that, right? You can only say, hey, they picked it up and blah, 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 blah. But it starts with, I see him coming, move the mic point. Now everybody shifts their responsibilities over. We make this blitzer a part of the 4 down lineman, and now we have action. But we don't have action if we can't get to it by making sure the pre-snap is done correctly. And so this is furthers my point that, remember, I talked about it and you had a conversation with the coach, but I didn't know that they would give him more responsibility. I thought they might, but we saw it. We caught it in game. I forgot what game it was. And we expressed how he protected himself and gave himself a chance to throw the dig across the field to Cornelius Johnson. And he does it again here for a touchdown. And it's super impressive. Because like I told you, and I haven't talked to you on air, but as a senior, that's when I finally learned about mic points and all those different things, and I had more responsibility, learning a new offense with Coach Nussmeier. And for him to be able to do this, I'm just telling you right now, college quarterbacks aren't doing it. Right? That's the thing. You play fast, you do all that stuff, so you don't have to worry about protecting yourself because, first of all, the ball's going to be out, and secondly, you got your offensive line figuring that stuff out for you. You understand that? And then when you look to the sideline and get the play, everybody can look to the side and get the play, and then you can protect yourself with the call that the coaches give you. The coaches will protect you and make sure that what they see and they call the play based off of that. So this is outstanding. This isn't look to the sideline, fix the protection. This is, I see what's happening. I need to protect myself because I know I'm going to have a touchdown here. Super impressive.
That's fantastic stuff, man.
Super impressive. It's a lot. It's a mouthful, but it's a lot. And so now you kind of see, and pause it for a second, okay. Mullings has a lot to do, right? Mike to Sam to Week. And so when you see the running backs get out on those two Jack and Geo type protections, when you see the running back get out, that means he's gone through all that and knows that he doesn't have to have responsibility. That is super impressive to see these guys play so fast where you go, Mike, Sam, Week, I don't have anything. I'm going and I'm getting into the passing pattern to make sure I help outnumber the defense down the field. I think that's super impressive, but I really love what Mullings is able to do here because this is a backer, man. This is a big dude coming in, and this is about to be a big collision, and he stoned him, didn't give him an inch. Not one single inch, and it was super impressive. Well, look at him. He's in cahoots. He's like, all right, I know my new responsibility is this mic. And if he comes, give me that. Boom. Oh, my. And he put him on the ground. I love it and lay it on him. I think you should get a stat similar to a touchdown for stuff like that.
I think
if it results in a touchdown, you should get an assist when you stone somebody the way Khalil Mullings did. And that's him putting on display another skill set, another opportunity for him to show that he can be trusted not only in the run game but also in the pass game when he's counted on to be a protector. Awesome
man,
stuff.
I already know not to give it away in this particular film study, but without even talking to Borges about it, I know we're going to go over that play. And he's going to say, Sam, is that a slide or is that a sort? Is it a sort or is it a slide? And then he's going to break it all down and tell you exactly what it is. You're going to be here
until 10:30 p.m. Nice.
You're going to break it all down.
Yeah.
So you'll get the answer on the offensive film study with Al Borges for sure. But DG, I mean, this team, you know, the interesting thing about them and why I don't think it's overboard to talk about them being a number one team is these last 2 weeks they've played.
Wait, overboard? Somebody say overboard?
Because of who they played. My point is they're playing to a standard that is constant regardless of who they play. Right? They're not playing down to the level of their opponent at all. They keep doing that, they'll be ready for Penn State.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like somebody's questioning whether they're ready for Penn State.
So you hung out with Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
Did you ask Urban, was he high? I asked you earlier. There has to be a reason why he was so. They're not going to be ready. Their schedule is so terrible. I mean, they're not prepared. Look at who they're playing. Like,
Sam,
they're playing to a standard, Urban.
Sam, I've talked to you about this. First of all, Urban Meyer is an Ohio State guy. He is not trying to give props to Michigan, especially on air. He's not doing it. So any chance he can, and then remember, he had some stats technically to back up his claims, not to mention he's cool with the rule, right? So all of that is a perfect storm. This man do not believe that. Stop. Come on, man.
Oh, you don't think he really believe that?
I don't think he believes that they not ready. He watched the film. He see what they doing. He's a guy. Now, one thing you can say whatever you want to say about him. He a ball coach for sure. He's a ball coach, and he's watching the film. And,
so this man,
and after watching this past week, he gonna be like, all right.
Okay,
man.
so now you telling me he's on TV and he thinks all y'all stupid. He thinks all the people he talking to stupid.
Well, remember, a couple weeks prior, when they definitely haven't played nobody, he said Michigan or Ohio State. So you think come on.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing with you.
But he had an opportunity. He took his shot. I take shots all the time at Michigan State and like a Rico beer and all that garbage. You take your shot when you get a shot. He took his shot at Michigan. He missed. But there, he knows that this team is outstanding. It's the same team from last year, essentially.
And what did you think of Ohio State when you watched them?
I was not impressed. And not only me, he wasn't impressed. Nobody was impressed. And if you watch the tape, it's not a personal attack at Ryan Day or anything, but it's just not impressive to watch. And not saying that Maryland is a team that's not good. Maryland controlled that game for the majority of that game. Maryland couldn't get out of their own way in a few instances where they completely kind of, escort the bed, in some scenarios, right? So I think that game was a lot closer than it seemed at the end, for sure. But Ohio State was able to do what they should do, right? They should beat that team how they beat them. But the beginning, it just didn't look good at all, and all the way into the fourth. Honestly, it didn't look great. And but they finished the game. They blew them out technically, and that's all you can say. But the quarterback play is a big question mark still, right? Not a big arm, not an anticipatory thrower. It's going to be tough for him to be successful against guys that can stay near his receivers. Not only that, and I'm really, when I say his receivers, I mean Marvin Harrison Jr. because he is as advertised, right? And so I think that the plan that should be, I'm going to give the answer to the test right now. Show that Marvin Harris is in 101. Give nothing. Kind of similar to what we just saw Minnesota. It's possible. Show that he is in man-to-man with the corner. Show nothing other than that. When the ball snaps, where do you think Kyle McCord is going? Because I teach my young quarterbacks, when it's man-to-man, when it's cover one, you get to your best matchup. And his best matchup against anybody in the country, and that's not a slight to anybody in the country is going to be Marvin Harrison Jr. And at the snap, show him something totally different. And now he's wasted some of the time that he has with a kind of suspect offensive line in some areas. He's wasted some of the time he has to read the defense by trying to get the ball to his guy, right? And then once you can't get the ball to your guy, you don't have the time to survey the field and get back because the rush is already upon you, and he's not a dynamic, mobile guy, right? And so I think that's the book on Ohio State. Now, and that's not to say that they don't have talented guys all over, but as a quarterback, when you see man, Marvin Harrison Jr. got to get the ball. I don't care who you are. Marvin Harrison on a lot of teams, honestly, right? And obviously all the college teams, but even in the NFL level, on a lot of teams, Marvin Harrison has to be the first look, right? So I think that's the book right now out, especially right now because he just hasn't proven to be able to read coverage and throw with anticipation, even when he's throwing to Marvin Harrison Jr. and he doesn't have a big arm down the field, so waiting is not an option, right? He can't get the ball down the field as far as a lot of different guys at this level, so I think that's the book on their quarterback. Now, that's not to say he can't improve, right? He can improve, and maybe they might even make a change at some point. I don't know, but I think that they are a average team right now, right? A really good team, right? Better than a lot of other teams, but I don't think that they are the number one team for sure, like they've been in years. In years, it was like, man, Ohio State probably the best team, you know what I mean? And we all agreed on it. And that's obviously not the case this year.
Yeah, they had first-round quarterbacks before now. Maybe this dude will develop into one, but
No,
he's not there
no,
yet.
no. So like he's not gonna get unless he starts taking like stuff to make him stronger. He can't. His ability to throw deep down the field is just not. It's just not there, right? And so he won't be a first-round pick. I would get on the table for that right now. There's no chance of that happening, but he could develop into a really good quarterback in the college level. Like he could turn into J.T. Barrett. Right now, J.T. Barrett was dynamic as a runner. Right, so that'd be tough.
But another guy you're high on doesn't have a big arm, but boy, he has great anticipation, great accuracy.
Who's that?
Brock Purdy.
Oh, 100%. I remember watching him in college. I had a bunch of his games at Iowa State, and I remember talking to his quarterback coach. And the one thing about Brock Purdy was he was always trying to get better. Right, I remember sending a bunch of notes based off of my assessment of him, not necessarily in the scheme of the offense, but just throwing in general. Because I got a chance to work with Tom House and Joel Gordon, who was his quarterback coach. He asked, "Hey, what do you think? Like, what?" And I gave him a bunch of notes and all these different things. And Brock Purdy but that like he had already become the greatest quarterback in the history of Iowa State, right? So why are you trying to get like why are you know what I mean? Because most guys just don't do that. When you've reached a level, you're like, I don't really need help from whatever who that is and whatever the case may be. But that was kind of the case. And so going into he played a lot of ball. I think he had like 48 starts. He 4-year starter for the most part. He played. I think he started a little bit later in his freshman year, but going into the NFL, I didn't see this coming. I don't want to act like get on tail. Oh yeah, I knew he was going to be cold-blooded. I knew he was going to be one of the 4 best quarterbacks in the NFL, or 3 best, honestly, the way he's playing. I didn't see that, but I knew he wouldn't be overwhelmed for sure. Right? He played too much ball. He learned too much, right? And he's a go-getter. Like he's a guy that's trying to get better and improve, and so he was in the perfect situation with the perfect opportunity, and he's the perfect guy. Right? No ego. Cool, the guys like him, right? He ain't trying to be somebody he's not, right? But the thing is, he got fire. He's a competitor, and he could throw that rock. But like you said, not great arm strength, nothing like that. But as far as anticipatory throwing and knowing where he wants to go with the ball and knowing what trajectory to put on balls and where to put them and how to get there, he has that down packed.
Yeah, one of your predecessors here at Michigan is responsible for him being a 49er based on seeing him because he called one of his games, just like you. Brian Greasy came on the show, and he was like, yeah, I just got there, and they were like, evaluate the quarterbacks. What do you think? And he was like, well, I'm not really, that's not really my thing yet, but I'll tell you what, I saw this guy, Brock Purdy.
At Iowa State.
And, he's a guy that I think we should go after. And they went after him late in the draft, and now he's that dude. Yeah. And your quarterback coach is the one that brought you there. Oh, man, like you said, it's a perfect situation.
I'm telling you, dudes that call games and stuff, you get to see, especially when you call a lot of people's games, you get to see, like, who these dudes really are. We ain't watching highlights, right? We getting to see the whole game. Like, nah, that's a lot of bad decisions in one game. But then the stats look real good. And it's like, he's not that guy. He's not that guy, but they going to think he that guy. But he's not that guy.
And it's different when it's a quarterback watching, not just, no disrespect to other comments.
Obviously, but we focus on quarterbacking, right? We focus, and we do that because, first of all, it's entertaining. Everybody wants to know what the quarterback's thinking. And secondly, every play starts with the quarterback, right? So it kind of just works the way it works. But you just see stuff, and you get a chance to see these guys, and you don't watch, and you got to watch all the film up to the game, right? And then you get to see the game. You get to see how he reacts live. And I don't think there's a real replacement for that. You can't watch enough coaches tape to see the temperament of a guy and all those different things. And I love all the cameras that all the networks have because you get to see, like, oh, man, this dude, he handles adversity well. And that's one thing I saw Brock Purdy. He handled adversity well at Ohio State. I mean, not Ohio State, at Iowa State. He handled adversity. He was the reason, right? He's the most decorated quarterback in their history, and I'm sure, and maybe at some point, but most of his records won't be broken because he started for 4 years and he was really productive. But you can see Iowa State is not the same without him. And they had an incumbent who got in trouble and they thought that he would be the guy, much more talented than Brock Purdy, big old guy, could throw it a mile and whatever, but he just didn't have the temperament and the decision-making, obviously, betting on your own games, that's crazy, right? He didn't have the mental fortitude and the temperament and the decision-making on or off the field he threw a lot of interceptions, things like that. Brock Purdy didn't do that. He didn't have any of that stuff to make sure that he could be as productive as Brock Purdy. And for Brock Purdy, he doesn't have any ego in it.
So last thing before you go, take us to school because one thing you went over was something JJ did well, improved from week 3 until this one. and something that you said other quarterbacks, maybe even Kyle McCord, would struggle with. Take me through how a quarterback, if they're doing zone on one side, man on the other, how do you read that? How do you see that? Like, pre-snap, you might see motion to one side, but you don't necessarily always see it across the field to be able to understand what they're doing on the other side. So how do you read that if you're a quarterback?
Well, and so defenses have gotten smarter too, where, they send guys in, when guys go in motion, they send guys with them. And then they snap the ball and it's not man. It's like, oh man, everything I've ever learned. Right. So that's why, Jeff Bileism, no always and no nevers. Right. No always and no nevers, because it could be most of the time, pretty much generally, but it's not always, because the one time you think it's always, then they can go to something else. And so I think you got to see the whole field. And that's tough for college quarterbacks, and why it can confuse a lot of college quarterbacks, because a lot of it is half field read. We're not doing a whole bunch of full field read. And a lot of it's pure progression, where you're just going through to every next guy across the field, right? But when you got zone on one side, you could probably skip something over there to the man side. Or if you got man on one side, you could skip something to the zone side. Or if you got something that's going across the field from a zone side of the field into a man side, now you really got action, right? You really got motion. And so I think that you read it by reading the whole field. You can't just look at, we had to know that while offense continued to develop, defense was going to develop as well, right? They were going to continue to try to do things to confuse the quarterback. And so it used to be, hey, find the safety. Safety's in the middle. Middle is probably 1 or it's probably 3. All right? You got middle safety. Oh, split safety. We probably got 2. We got 4. Right? Maybe it'll mix in a little 6 or something like that. It's not that anymore. And so just looking at the safeties is not going to be able to do it. You got to look at the leverage of the corners. What are they doing? The film study I've seen. When do they line up at this spot? Because guys are going to do what they're going to do on certain coverages, right? They're going to be similar or the same, because you just can't risk it not being in the proper area. And so you got to go through all that. And this is what is a 40-second play clock? You don't got a lot of time, right? And so it's going to take a lot of study and making sure you see it downfield. And the one thing that I can say unequivocally is that this guy has to be studying, because he's not getting the answers from the coaches on the field, right? A lot of times, right? He's figuring out for himself, and we just highlighted a few instances and made the team very successful. So that travels, right? That the way they're playing football travels, right? Getting in the right play, protecting yourself, that travels to no matter who the team is. And so the conversation of not playing anybody, you got to look at the film. And I have the luxury of getting a chance to look at the film a lot more than most pundits and whatever, just because we do this show, right? So you look at the film and the scheme and how they do things and what's happening. This isn't just my team's better than yours. Now, it's a lot of that, team is better, but we're playing the mind game as well of playing football the way it should be played, and it starts with the quarterback.
So, DG, I appreciate a lot about you. Sitting here as we did this, I've come to appreciate how you're a consummate professional. You don't show up.
Here we go.
Chew a bunch of gummies, then come on the air, like I suspect one of your colleagues did.
Every time you give me a compliment, you got some garbage coming.
I didn't say for sure that happened. I just suspect one of your colleagues was high on the air. Suspect. All right? I can say that.
You can say that.
I know you're not, though. So I appreciate that about you.
I'm not high. I did not have half a gummy or any gummies this morning.
I appreciate you people as well, supporting the film studies.
You people? What do you mean? You people?
You people who love the film studies. Even you other coaches and teams and commentators out there, we love you too, but contribute to the cause. Like, find that link right down there in the comment section. It's pinned to the top. Find that link right there in the description. It lays out how you can show your love to the film study and help DG stay in the life in which he's accustomed, right? Because we don't own the footage. It is strictly for the education, entertainment, and edification of you, the viewer. That's why we don't get any sponsorship or advertising for these videos. That's why we need you to help fund the film study. That way we can come back next week and do it again on another edition of the Michigan Football Film Study, or the Monday Morning Quarterback Film Study with Devin Gardner. We'll see you then.
I hope that you guys learned a lot today. I was very excited to teach you all those things. Hope you learned a lot.